if you look at the negative reviews around the country for law firms, the number one complaint is lack of communication.
Absolutely.
Number one. Now, whether that's paralegal, lawyer, case manager, it's the firm. Goes back to whether it's the owner, it's the director of operations, it's a COO, but somebody needs to inspect what they expect of their team. Because look, we're not perfect. Nobody's going to be perfect.
No.
But there are things that we could all do in business to set ourselves apart from the rest. I like to say I'm the most accessible guy in media. I sleep 5 hours a day, and if my phone rings or pings or texts, I will respond to somebody within 20 minutes unless there's an emergency.
Mm-hmm. Welcome to Above the Legal Limit. I'm your host, Justin Chopin, business owner, lawyer, dad, world's best husband, traveler, and adventure seeker. On this podcast, we mix business with pleasure. We'll dive into growth strategies, entrepreneurial adventures, the business of law, and prove that business isn't boring. So let's get ready because we are going above the legal limit. We are welcoming Gary Sarner to the show. Thanks for being on, Gary.
Justin, thanks for inviting me. I'm excited.
So Gary is the owner and founder of ROI 360 Plus. Can you tell our I always like to say our viewers because then it makes us sound like we're a really big deal. Can you tell me, because I don't think I have any viewers, can you tell me more about ROI 360 Plus?
So ROI 360 Plus was actually born by accident. I spent 35 years in broadcast radio here in South Florida. And about 11 years ago, I met an attorney, Mark Anajar, with Anajar and Levine. Went on a sales call, questioned him on some stuff that he was doing. And he said, okay, hotshot, do an audit for me. Well, I did an audit on what he bought, and he wasn't getting what he paid for.
Yeah.
Because there was too much trust, which is good and bad, right?
Right. Trust but
And
verify.
Long story short, he says, you're my new ad guy. And I'm like, no way. No frickin' way. So I monitored his spot times for the next several months. And lo and behold, I became his ad guy. Fast forward 8.5 years later, he grew to a statewide juggernaut going up against Morgan & Morgan. My radio company said to me, hey, we want you to give up doing Anajar and Levine business and just worry about your radio sales. I was like, I'm going to go from being your top guy to your top client.
There you go.
And ROI 360 Plus was born in
I love
2021 with no intention on becoming a legal marketing expert.
Don't you think that's how all businesses are sort of born, right? I mean, a lot of times it's not like, well, I have this idea, so I'm going to start today. I'm going to start this business. It's sometimes people say, like, how did you get into this? And the real answer is, I don't know. I sort of, opportunities presented themselves while I wasn't paying attention. And then at the last second, it all clicked and I fell backwards into it. Right. I mean, it's like very rare. I don't know. I always think people are full of shit when they're like, well, like they're like business school kids where they sit down and they're like, well, I have a business plan. And today I'm going to start a media, buying, agency. And that's just not how life works. Right. It's one opportunity at a time.
Listen, I used to own a hair salon, believe that or not, but it was born out of getting fired at a radio station to be brought back 2 days later. And I was like, I need to build something of my own.
Yeah.
I wish I did the agency back then.
The agency before the hair business. Well, my sister owned a salon, so I'm familiar with the trials and tribulations of owning a salon. I get it. I was her regular in-house counsel. So we, all right. So I'll tell you about us. We did some billboards, we do buses. and some bus stops. I've lately thought about bringing the billboards back, and I go back and forth with it all the time. You always know when a lawyer's hit a big case because they will willy-nilly just go out and buy a bunch of billboards, or usually no, they don't even do that. They go buy 2 billboards and they leave them up for 6 months. And then they say, well, I didn't get anything out of this. And then they pull them down. And I'm always mindful of that whenever we have a new, media strategy, especially on the traditional side, that it's all about long-term investing in, that brand. And so we're looking at a lot of these things, OTT, and, and whether or not that, we want to be there or just full, are we only digital, or, are we doing more outdoor ads? I would love to hear your advice.
I've got some serious opinions when it comes to all of this. The first thing I'm going to say, and probably the most important thing that every one of your viewers should know, marketing campaigns are measured in years,
Yeah,
not weeks or months.
totally.
I have watched not only lawyers, but all types of advertisers fail for 2 reasons. Number one, and any small business, medium-sized business where you're going to buy your own advertising, you generally call the radio or TV station or the billboard company that's closest to your house,
That's
the
right.
ones that you love and watch, and they might not be the right fit for the clientele you're looking to reach. Number two, nobody lets it marinate long enough. I will tell you, of the 22 law firms we work with, I'm very proud of one singular campaign because it was an attorney who had never advertised other than bottom of the funnel, had his SEO, website, everything right. And he heard me speak at a conference, and he came up to me and we're having this conversation. He's like, there are so many of these law firms that are marketing themselves, but they don't get the kind of verdicts we get. They don't even go to damn court.
That's right.
And I said to him, I said, let me ask you a question. When's the last time you invited somebody in your market to do business with you? I've never advertised like that. I said, well, why do you think they're going to the other places? They're inviting them to do business. And as we got deeper into the conversation as to what does the brand portray, and you are in
We're in New
Louisiana,
Orleans. Yeah.
New
Well,
Orleans,
Southeast Louisiana. Yeah.
you've got multiple
Oh,
attorneys
yeah.
that spend a lot of money in your market. I happen to be someone that spends a lot of money in your market on the radio.
Yeah.
But you have to be who you are. You could segment the type of client that you want to reach. But for me, I would say if you knew which 2% of the people were getting in an accident tomorrow, my God, your life would be easy and I'd be out of business.
Right. Exactly.
But we don't.
No.
So you have to own something. You brought up lawyer hits a big case, gets $1 million, and their fee is $333,000. We're just making this up. They've never had a case like that. Holy shit, I can buy billboards now.
That's it.
They buy 2.
Right.
Well, guess what? For me, I would say to anybody out there, if your average fee, and let's just keep this easy, is $10,000, every time you get a double of the 10, take half of that. So let's just call it 20, keep it simple. $5,000 goes into your operating account or your self bonus, however you pay your people, and put $5,000 into a kitty and build that kitty up. So when you actually go to buy something, you have the cash available, because I've seen way too many people not be capitalized the right way.
Yeah.
And they have to cancel. Because especially for lawyers, you start advertising, for 12 months, your investment is going out the door. You're getting cases in, but there's no cash coming in.
And there's no way to tie that case into the campaign either. Never has anyone, I've never had a client walk in the door with a good case that said, well, Justin, I saw your billboard and I thought, I'm going to give this guy a call. Right. That's just not how it works. And what's interesting is the marketing people will tell you, because it's the question they probably get asked the most, is how long does it take for it to work? Right. So that's the number one question. Like it's medicine, how long until I feel better? And the answer is 6 months. Oh, about 6 to 9 months. And that's just, we've had our outdoor campaign going on since 2007. And I think, maybe I've heard 3 or 4 times someone be like, hey, wait, you're that guy. You're that guy. That's a long time,
So that's interesting. And again, I don't know how many boards you have up in the city, but here's what I tell people. Number one, your intake job is not to find out how the hell they found out about you. It's to sign the case up.
That's right.
I actually was listening to somebody, and I wish I could tell you who, on Instagram yesterday, and he was like, intake asks 6 questions. They sign the case. Then it goes to the paralegal who asks the same damn 6 questions.
That's right.
This person's upset already that they had to make the most uncomfortable call they've ever made. They're calling a lawyer. And number 3, the lawyer then gets on the phone and asks the same damn questions.
That's right.
So if intake could shorten it up and say, okay, we have a potential case here. Let's sign it up.
That's right.
Leave the legal work to the legal people. The intake's job is sales. You need great salespeople to close it. Because if they don't close it and you want to chase it, your percentages drop dramatically.
Right.
I don't care what law firm.
No, it doesn't matter. And, that's how we operate. So I live in intake, and because we live in intake, so that's where I have to live. And the instruction is we are not vetting every case. I don't want you getting it. Well, what lane were you in? Did you see him prior to the impact? Forget that shit. There is going to be months, if not years, where we can talk about this. Your job is to find out, is this a qualified lead? Were you hurt? Did you have insurance? And even then, there are workarounds or exceptions. And is the case what we say prescribed? What you would say is it within, the statute of limitations? After that, all I want to hear is, yes, we can help you. That's all I want to hear. Yes, we can help you. You made the right call because, yes, we can help you. It's all I want to hear. Then once they're signed up, we'll have another call where we're onboarding. And that's our opportunity to really vet all the information. And then a lawyer will talk to the client and a lawyer will say, hey, Bob, I really appreciate you giving us the opportunity. Now that I have all the facts, I want to explain to you, why we think you may not have a case. And it's coming from a lawyer. It's not coming from intake. It's not coming from, onboarding. It's what they paid for. So we're going to give them what they paid for. When they're not, we're contingency, but still, it's what they paid for.
If you look at the negative reviews around the country for law firms, the number one complaint is lack of communication.
Absolutely.
Number one. Now, whether that's paralegal, lawyer, case manager, it's the firm. Goes back to whether it's the owner, it's the director of operations, it's a COO, but somebody needs to inspect what they expect of their team. Because look, we're not perfect. Nobody's going to be perfect.
No.
But there are things that we could all do in business to set ourselves apart from the rest. I like to say I'm the most accessible guy in media. I sleep 5 hours a day, and if my phone rings or pings or texts, I will respond to somebody within 20 minutes unless there's an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
And then they know I'm going to wear the loud damn shirt. But The key is, are people getting to the firm? Where they actually came from, no one will ever really know. The last attribution, over 90% of the time in the legal business, is Google.
That's right.
So when I speak to somebody, I say, I'm going to make your SEO and PPC team look like rock stars, because your brand awareness goes like this over time. So when somebody actually gets in the accident and they don't remember, oh, I've got to call Justin. I've been seeing, hearing. They go to Google, whatever they search, injury lawyers, accident attorneys, New Orleans, whatever. If your digital marketing company is doing their job, you're going to be at the top of the fold. Oh, wait a minute. I
I'm seeing
know
that.
that guy.
That's it. That's how it
But
works.
your intake team, because they went to your website, Google changes the phone number, right? So
Right.
they dial that number, even though you might market a totally different phone number.
That's right.
Your intake team's job is so easy. Oh, it came from Google. Again, back to, it's their job to sign it, not to find out. But what I ask the firms that I work with to do, at some point after the case is signed, and again, I don't know your firm well, but let's assume you personally don't handle cases. And let's say you've got your team of lawyers that are working on everything. Once a month, pick up the phone and call 15 clients that you've never spoken to and say, hey, Gary, first, I wanted to thank you for choosing my firm. I know you got to me via Google. I want to know a couple of things. First, how are you feeling? Because that's really what frickin' matters.
Yeah, I
Number
like that.
two, how's my team doing handling your case? Any issues that I need to know about? Now, you're such a good guy. Nobody does this, by the way.
Right. No, nobody
Nobody.
does that.
And the last question, Gary, I know you got to us via Google, but I'm just curious. Had you ever seen or heard of my firm prior to calling? You know what the answer inevitably is going to be? Yes. Because if they choose you based on search alone, bottom of the funnel, they did enough research to choose you.
Hmm.
The average consumer doesn't do research.
No, they don't. Right. Your primacy, recency, you're top of the list. There was a call now, call to action. And it was easy. People want what's easy. Right. So that,
Don't we?
oh, absolutely. Right. Um,
We're
and,
normal.
and that's why, we talk about this a lot here is Google reviews are so important because, you know, if you go, forget law firms, I got to get a haircut, and maybe, maybe I don't know, I don't want to go to my normal guy anymore. So, a lot of times you just Google it, right? And if you've got three options and one of them has got like 1 star and like 20 people saying that they burned their scalp, you probably aren't going to want to go there, right? And so it's vital to what we do here. And so I'm always, we have a thing now where like if a lawyer gets a 5-star Google review, they get like a bonus because it's that important, just every single time we have a leaderboard, who's on top because it's just so important. Um,
So, as a firm in southern Louisiana, going up against three really giants in Louisiana,
that's right.
you can't outspend them.
No, they can outspend us. They can choke us anytime they want.
So, your marketing dollar is crucial to the story you tell. Back to owning something. You bought some billboards. You just keep adding billboards until you feel you have enough.
Mm-hmm.
Then you move to the next category, whether it's radio or television. They all work if purchased correctly. I thought about with my agency doing a little bit of everything: radio, TV, digital, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. But then I'm really not a specialist at anything, and I wouldn't be able to give my clients 100%.
No, right.
The
And everyone's
radio,
trying to do that.
the radio, and I learned this from a lawyer who anointed themselves a trucking expert.
Right. Anybody can do that. Right.
Guess what? You get the opportunity to tell enough people that you're an expert.
Speaking into existence, you become one.
Right. So now, once people start to believe it, what's the backup? You got to do great work as a lawyer. I have to do great work as an ad agency buying media. Well, what does that look like? More leads, more cases. You talked about you live in intake. Every firm I speak to says, yeah, my intake is 90%. I ghost call.
Yeah.
I ghost call a lot. And inspect what you expect.
Yeah. I listen to a lot of our calls. I really used to do it a lot more in the past. But my intake, I have one intake specialist who I think, is doing a phenomenal job. And so I don't do it as much as I used to, but every now and then, you can learn so much by listening to the call. I don't know where we are anymore. We were doing it. I have to run the numbers for last month. I'm not going to say we're 90%. I think the reason is because if you really want to get the number, you have to be able to isolate, right? It's not just you've got your number of calls, you got the ones you want, right? And then you have the ones you close on, and it's the differential between, what you close versus the ones you want. It's the ones you want is hard to quantify. It's not as easy. Our CRM has it, but it's still a little challenging.
So I wasn't even talking about the number of closes. I was just talking, how do you rate your intake department?
Yeah.
So the perception is they're all great. Unfortunately, most of the owners in the legal business are not down at the intake level and really monitoring it. There are some that do, and you can see a big difference in the types of cases those firms have, as well as their average case values.
Yeah.
They go up
I mean,
because they're keeping the better cases and they're farming out the stuff that they really don't want and putting so much pressure on their lawyers and their case managers and their paralegals.
you have to live in intake, right? Because if you're not signing up cases, a lawyer without cases, you know what they're called? A barista, right? I
Well,
mean,
by the way, I've got two baristas in school right now.
oh, I saw that. You've got two kids in law school.
I've got two in law school.
That's congratulations. I'm one of the few people out there who, when someone says they're going to law school, lawyers always say the same thing. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Oh, well, it's such a tough landscape. I've never said that to anybody. If you hate the practice of law, I'd submit to you, you're probably doing the wrong type of law, right? So if you're sweating it out in corporate transactions in New York and you're miserable, maybe you should just do something else. Sounds like it's not for you. I love what I do. I love coming to work here every day. My wife's a lawyer. Our kids are young. They're like 6 and 8, right? But they're just little opposing counsels walking down the hallways, always coming up with better arguments than us. So, I mean, the genetics are against them. They're not going to be doctors. I know they're just going to be lawyers, but still, I think that's wonderful. Congratulations. That's remarkable.
Yeah, I told my
Expensive.
son, he's actually working in construction law this summer. He chose to not go the PI route where he could have worked in any state in America, in
Right.
any city he chose. I know everybody could have found somewhere for him. And I said to him, Aaron, right now you're not a lawyer. You still have to pass the bar. You're lucky enough that somebody hired you. to help do work. All you need to do is be there first, be there last, and give it
Yes.
100%
Yes.
every day. Whether this firm's going to hire him after this internship or not, who knows?
And there's
Is
so
this
many factors. It's not even worth worrying about. I got the best clerkships, maybe not the best, but I got some of the best clerkships in town. And, in those days, it was before '09, and so the market was really different. These firms would hire 30 clerks a session. In New Orleans, you have 2 sessions. Places in New York, you just have one summer. But here we split our summers. So you're competing with all these, contemporaries and you don't know how many people they're going to hire. You're never going to know. They're never going to tell you. And the secret is out at the end of the summer. They only hired one person. And so then you have to think, hindsight always being 2020. Shit, maybe this wasn't the best clerkship. maybe I should have gone with that other place. You don't know. You don't know until it's too late. When my wife went to law school, I was at least able to impart some of that advice to say, well, just make sure that you're not going to the big firm who's going to take you out to lunch every single day, but maybe to the place that might actually offer you a job and that you would want to work there.
Did she listen?
Oh, absolutely.
You're
But she's a
lucky.
rock star, so I mean, she would have gotten hired anywhere. So she was
That's the best. That
much smarter than I am, much harder worker than I am. But she has it all. But so well, that's fascinating. I have a long time before my kids are in law school. Thank God. I don't have to. I have time to.
cherish, 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 and I'll tell you, go home early, pick the day, because my four are all grown up, and getting all four together is virtually impossible.
Yeah.
But to get three of them together, because they all have different stuff right now, cherish that time, spend that time, do it. Take that vacation. I'm telling you.
You know what?
Again,
I believe that. I mean, we're today is like the official start of summer around here. Today's like, day one, school's out. And, I was like, oh, well, you're, you're a third grader today. That means, and I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, is that right? You used to be like, you were like this big, I could just like walk around with you in one hand. Now now you've got like pool parties and friends. And so, yeah, I have no doubt. We talk about this a lot in my family because, we're two lawyers. So our schedules are not easy. And my wife and I, she's in Newark, you know, on her way back, but we were texting about this. And, if you spend all of your energy investing in your clients, your business, the practice of law, and not your family and your friendships, in the end, you clients move on, right? You become too old to do the work, or you've lost the motivation, and what you're left with is a former shell of a business that you invested in and clients that you invested in that should, clients die too. They're older than you, um, and a former shell of a business, and you didn't invest in your children and your friends. So what are you going to do later in life? Clients are not friends. Clients are clients. Clients are not your children. They're not your family. Your family's your family. So we talk about this a lot, and we are actively and being mindful of this as we continue to go through this impossible schedule that we maintain for ourselves.
you brought up the word love. And a lot of advertisers out there talk about referring your loved ones to us. Well, if I were to ask you, Justin, how many people do you think you actually love?
Yeah, right.
Think about this. How many people can you say that you love?
it's a handful of people, but I'm a bit of a son of a bitch, but you
Okay,
know,
so let's say you're the biggest son of a bitch in the world. It's still a handful of
it's
people.
still a handful of people.
Now, picture this. Please refer to us anybody that you care about. How many people do you care about?
Um, well, there's lots of different types of caring. Like I don't want, people to suffer, right? We talk about this. I'm not a pet person, so now I don't wish ill will on pets. I don't want to see animals being slaughtered for no reason. I just don't want to own you. Was it so? This is a me thing, not a you thing. So I care about the pets. I just don't want you in my house. You know, um,
But you care about 10 times more
yeah.
the people than you love. How many employees do you have in your office?
We 10 lawyers and about 10 staff. So we're short staffed by design. So we're about 20 people.
What, 20 people that you care about?
Sure. Yeah, every one of them.
You don't love your employees.
No, you're not allowed to do that.
You care about your employees.
Yes.
You don't love all your friends. You care about all your friends. You don't love your acquaintances, but you care about some of those. Words matter.
Yeah.
Whether it's on a billboard, a radio commercial, a TV commercial, choose your words wisely.
I like that. So the message should be send us the people that you really don't give a shit about. Because there's
That
lots of
would be different.
those.
That would and that would stand out, right?
It would stand out. Maybe not for the right reasons.
But again, marketing is marketing. There's one job marketing has to bring a potential to a business.
Yeah.
It could be done with humor. It could be done loud and obnoxious. It could be done right or left. All it has to do is resonate.
Well, we talk about that sometimes. There's a guy in town. I will not say his name. This is not someone I would refer to a lawyer. This will not be the person that I care about. Nevertheless, this lawyer has very distasteful advertising. And I'm not like a prude. I'm like, cut the shit. Like, I'm not like that. But still, like, I hate your ads. But I'll give him this. He is competing with some of the biggest guys. And this because you buy media, right? So if you ask them like, hey, who's spending what and how much, like they love to tell you that. TV channels will love to tell you, well, I can tell you this guy spends this and this guy spends this. But this individual, where he was on the list, maybe he was a top 10 spender, but he wasn't a top 3 spender. But he was competing with top 10 people. And he was doing it with, and everybody in town, this is several years ago now. So if you're listening and you think it's you, it's not you, it's somebody else. You don't know who this is. But so this is like, 10 years ago. But he was competing with top 3 guys on a top 10 budget. And he was doing it creatively. Meanwhile, when I wanted to get into TV, and I kind of got nervous and pumped the brakes a little bit, which I think was the right move back then, because I don't think I had the cash to really see it through. I had asked a guy I know who is someone I care about, and I know he had played around in TV a little bit. And I said, well, what do you think? I asked a couple of people, and the first piece of advice I got from this gentleman was, I tried it, and I don't know that it was for me. And we kept trying, this channel and that channel, and then I saw this gentleman's advertisement and the TV ad, and I was like, oh, well, that pretty basic. I mean, that's kind of very ubiquitous, right? You're in the front of the green screen. You don't really have much of a message other than, hi, I'm a personal injury attorney, just like everybody you saw before me and after me. And then that's it. So I thought, that resonated because it was at that same time that I was looking at this other gentleman. And I said, it's not how much you spend then. It's what are you doing? What is your message? And we haven't done this because I don't think we have that message. Right? I don't think that we have enough clarity on where we want to go with it. And so rather than just piss money away, I was like, well, we're just going to put this on the table for another day. The second piece of advice I got, which I also thought was good, was from another gentleman who advertises and probably also is considered very distasteful. And he said, well, look, Justin, do it, don't do it. Doesn't matter. Here's what you need to know. Whatever money you're spending on your television ads should be completely disposable. So he's like, if you're investing, hoping that the phone's going to ring because you can't afford it for it to fail, he's like, that's not going to work. Even if Morris Bart, who, in this market's the powerhouse, the innovator, the inventor of all this. And we love the Mobart people. So I don't, even if he was to turn off the faucet tomorrow, the advice I got was his phones are going to continue to ring, even from just referrals and repeat clients and stuff like that. So he's like, whatever it is, whatever your budget is, it has to be like money you don't mind throwing away because you may never see anything out of it anyways. And I thought, again, I thought this was, some of the better advice. Now, it all steered me away from where our goal was, but maybe that's just the advice I needed to hear at that time.
So you said that this advertiser tried.
Yeah.
I won't work with a law firm that will not commit to 1 year. Why? Because then you have nothing to compare it to from the previous year. Now, making this up, you average 20 cases a month, and now you add billboards, radio, TV. I don't care which one, but you do it right. And now you're going to invest, and let's just call it $20,000 a month. You want to double your case count the first year. You're not going to make money on that first year investment.
No.
But now here's an interesting one, and I'll be interested to see what you think. You start advertising on radio, TV, your billboards, whatever, and you get Susie from your advertising. Susie's a great client. You guys did great work. You got her a great settlement. She's happy. And she's referring Justin to Michael, David, and Jeff. What bucket do those fall in? Referral or marketing?
Well, we would put it in the referral bucket.
And I'm going to tell you why it should be in the marketing bucket, in my opinion.
Right.
If you never had Susie,
right,
you never would have had these three. So without whatever you were doing, radio, TV, billboards, that Susie came from, these people don't happen. So those marketing dollars that worked in 2023 to bring you Susie, excuse me, you got residual effect in 2025 from 2023 dollars that you never would have had without Susie. So this is a conversation I have every day.
Right.
Because I hear from all the firms that we work with, only got 3 radio leads today, only got 2 billboard leads today, only got 6 TV. Well, hang on a second. How many leads did you get?
Yeah.
We got 42. 42. Wait a minute. And you wanted how many of those 42? 26. Oh, and you signed up 24 of them? Stop worrying about which marketing is being used and utilized and said in the conversation.
Yeah.
It's freaking working. Marketing works. I speak to young lawyers at least twice a day from Instagram. I don't know why they follow me, but they do. And I'm grateful for it. And they're like, I want to be like Morgan & Morgan. I want to be like Morris Bart. I want to be like John Foy in Atlanta. I want to be like whoever the big monster is in the market. I'm like, great. It's very easy to do. You need to step on the gas today and do it for 40 years.
Right. That's what I was
And
going to say.
you could be just like them.
Morris Bart practiced law for I don't know. I can go over there and ask him. I bet 20 years before he was advertising. He'd been practicing law for 20 years.
And he was one of the original TV advertisers in Louisiana.
Right.
So when that started in the 80s, it was very different. There was no cable. You had 3 networks and Fox was coming on. Oh my God. And there were no lawyers on TV. Everybody was afraid. I'm going to look like the ambulance chaser.
Yeah. Well, they still, that's still a thing. Right.
You're going to be called that forever.
Right.
That's forever. Fine. But the reality is, and something that is important to me with the people I do business with, I ask, what's your why? My why is to help people, whether it's your clients, you, for your family. But when it's all about money, that's a tough person to work with, because you really have the opportunity to change people's lives. Not that every case is bad like that.
No, but it's all relative too,
But when you get those cases, it's got to be here, not here. Because if you do what's right here, the money's going to come. Good begets good.
Mm-hmm.
There are mills out there, and then there are people who really want to help you. And by the way, referring a case out is not a bad thing. Because if there's somebody that could do a better job and help this person who went through a catastrophic, life-changing type injury, or maybe even a death.
No, you're steering them in the right direction. You're not, the referral process is perfect, because I can't help you with your case because it's not the work I do. Right. So if good example is if you have a child custody issue, right, I am not going to help you with that. I don't want to. I don't like doing it. I can't do it anymore. But I also don't want to throw you to the wolves and see you end up with some vulture who is going to overbill, underperform, and not care about you and your family. So I can do 2 things. I can ignore you and blow you off. I can ghost you and just let you start your process all over again. Or I can help steer you in another direction and say, well, look, this isn't something that my firm would do. But you should call this person because they're really good at this, and they will do that work for you, and they'll do a good job of it. And I think, I think it'll work well for you. Same with some types of, sometimes personal injury cases. We'll say, some med mal cases we may not handle. They're expensive, they're costly, they're time consuming. I can only have so many on a docket at one time. So it's not that I'm saying you don't have a case. I'm saying this is not the case for my firm. But if you call this guy, I know that he's the best. So let him guide you through this process. You don't have to take my word. That's the essence of the referral. It's not always backhanded,
Right. It's doing good for somebody. Look, I said this earlier. The hardest call anyone makes is to an attorney. What we forget, because we're part of this profession, is that the average person never speaks to a lawyer.
Yeah.
Lawyers are expensive.
Right. We did that. I had a firm-wide meeting. I said, raise your hand if you ever had to call a lawyer before. I had like one person raise their hand.
1 out of 20.
I said, so remember that when you're talking to a potential client or you're talking to a client, you've never had to do this. So for you, this is just every day. For this individual, this is a pretty monumental thing. They're uncomfortable. They're frightened, sometimes, or, there's a trust barrier there that you need to earn. The only feedback they're getting is that lawyers are vultures, or we're out to rob you. We're the reason your insurance premiums are high. We're the reason, blah, blah, whatever. But, so if they've made that call, and this is, then you have to realize statistically, they've never had to make this call before. that this is an uncomfortable situation for them. And so your job is to immediately, put them at ease and to understand and empathize with their position. And let's try to just do the best we can do. So I'm getting one of these in the background. So my team here is telling me that I've talked for too long. Again, what's new? I stopped interviewing. So I'm doing it again. I stopped interviewing potential hires. Well, I mean, I'll still interview them, but I always thought I was really good at it. And then I hired a director of operations to come help me out here because we were just getting a little busy. And I realized early on when there was someone else in the room that actually I'm the worst interviewer. All I do is talk and fill airspace and I never ask questions. And I'm like, been about 45 minutes. All right. Well, hey, thanks for coming in. All right. Well, the door's right there. What do y'all think? I think she's great. And we're like, you just talked the whole time. So it turns out I suck at interviewing because I can't shut up. But to this point, I talked for too long. So we, tell our thousands and thousands of viewers, our millions of viewers out there who are clamoring on every word that we say. Tell us where they can find you.
Instagram, ROI360PLUS. You could search me, Gary Sarner. I post on both. My cell phone number is 954-560-6371. Try it. I'll answer the phone. And whether we work together or don't in any market for anybody out there, I'm here to help give back. And if I could help you, it would be my pleasure.
I love it. Well, hey, thanks for coming on, Gary. I really appreciate it. It was great talking to you. Great learning about what you do and how you help.
Well, I hope you have the opportunity to help thousands of people this year because they need you more than they need me.
Hey, I love that. Me too. I also hope I get to help thousands of people this year. We're working one day at a time, one client at a time.
I work with one attorney. I'm not going to say who, but her goal is to help 1 million people in her career. She's not in personal injury. She's in immigration.
No, and there are a million people who need help. There's no doubt about that.
Back to the why and why people do what they do was really special. So I would say ask the right questions. You'll get the best answers.
Fair enough. I like that.
Thank you, Justin.
Hey, thanks a lot. Take care.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for joining me today on Above the Legal Limit. If you enjoyed the show and you want to hear more about business and law, hit that subscribe button. If you didn't like the show, keep it to yourself. Remember, there's no limit to what we can achieve. We will see you next week. Until then, even though we're above the legal limit, let's drive safely. Cheers, everyone.